The boy grabbed his sleeve. "Don't enter that car." The billionaire didn't even look at him until the boy whispered something he shouldn't have known. The man paused for half a second, not because of the warning, but because of the audacity. A dirty, barefoot boy had just touched him, in public, outside his own building. "Take your hand off me," he said, calm, but sharp enough to cut. But the boy didn't move. His grip tightened slightly, eyes locked, not begging, not scared. His eyes were urgent. "That car is not yours. They changed the plate." That's when the billionaire finally looked, not at the car, at the boy. There was no way this kid should know what his real car plate was. The billionaire turned slowly toward the black sedan waiting by the curb. Surely it was his car. Same model, same driver uniform, same tinted windows. Everything looked normal. Too normal. He checked his watch instead. "I don't have time for this," he muttered, brushing the boy off like dust. Behind him, the boy spoke again, quieter this time. "They've been watching you since yesterday. You shouted at the man with the blue tie. That's when they knew." The billionaire stopped walking, because that part nobody was supposed to know. He turned back, irritation now mixed with something else. "Who are you?" he asked, voice lower. The boy hesitated, not because he didn't want to answer, but because someone else was watching. His eyes flicked past the billionaire for just a second. That was enough. The billionaire followed the glance. Across the street, a man leaned against a newspaper stand, pretending to scroll his phone. But his posture was wrong, too still, too aware. When the billionaire looked back at the boy had already stepped back. "Just don't enter that car," he said again. "Please." The driver stepped out of the sedan. "Sir?" he said, politely, opening the back door. Everything about him looked perfect. Clean uniform, familiar voice, even the slight bow he always did. But something felt rehearsed. The billionaire studied him longer than usual. The driver didn't flinch, but his smile stayed frozen just a bit too long. Behind them, the boy shook his head slowly, not dramatic or loud, just no. The billionaire exhaled sharply, annoyed at himself. This was ridiculous. A street boy had disrupted his routine, and now he was second-guessing his own driver? He stepped forward anyway. But just as he reached the car door, he noticed something small. The driver's hand. There was a scar, a thin line across the knuckles. His real driver didn't have that. The billionaire froze. And for the first time, the boy's warning didn't sound crazy anymore. The billionaire didn't move forward, not back, just stood there staring at the driver's hand like it had changed the entire physics of the moment. The driver noticed the pause. "Sir?" he asked, again softer now. But something in his tone shifted, just slightly, like he was no longer asking. The boy stepped closer behind the billionaire. Very quietly, he said, "If you open that door, you won't get to close it again." That sentence landed differently, because it wasn't a warning anymore. It was certainty. The billionaire finally looked down at him. "You're saying I'm in danger?" The boy didn't blink. "No." A pause. "Not you." The billionaire frowned. Then who? The boy's eyes flicked to the driver, and the driver smiled, just a little too late. The billionaire's phone vibrated, once, then again. It was a message from his head of security. "Sir, do not enter the vehicle. We are not the ones outside." The billionaire felt his throat tighten. He looked at the driver again. The man was still standing there, waiting, patient, like someone who had done this many times before. The boy slowly let go of the billionaire's sleeve. "That's the real one," he whispered. Then added something worse. "They already swapped him inside your system." The billionaire didn't move toward the car, But he also didn't step away. That in-between silence was the most dangerous place to stand. The driver tilted his head slightly. "Sir, is everything all right?" Same voice, same calm tone, but now it felt less like service and more like calculation. Behind the billionaire, the boy spoke again, barely audible. "If you answer him normally, he wins." The billionaire's jaw tightened. "And if I don't?" The boy didn't respond immediately, because even he was watching the driver more closely now. Then he responded. "Then he stops pretending." A second vibration hit the billionaire's phone. This time, a direct call. It was an unknown number. He didn't answer. The driver took one step closer to the car door. Just one. But the movement changed the entire atmosphere, like a line had been crossed without permission. The boy suddenly grabbed the billionaire's wrist again, harder this time. "They're timing you," he said. "Every second you hesitate, they adjust." "Who is they?" The boy hesitated, then answered, "The people who don't miss." Across the street, the man by the newspaper stand was gone. The billionaire noticed instantly. The driver noticed him looking. "You seem distracted, sir," the driver said, politely. Too politely. The billionaire studied him again. He wasn't checking the street anymore. He looked like he was waiting for permission. The billionaire took a slow step back, and the driver didn't follow. The boy exhaled sharply. "Okay," he whispered, almost to himself. "They're switching approach." The billionaire turned. "What does that mean?" The boy pointed, not at the car, but at the building behind them. His own building. Glass, steel, security. His empire. "Look up," the boy said. The billionaire did, and saw something that made his stomach drop. A light blinking on the third-floor window. A signal? The boy's voice dropped even lower. "That means they already have access inside. I used to run messages for them before I realized what they were." The billionaire stepped back again. For the first time, distance mattered. The driver remained at the car door, still patient, still smiling. But now it felt like he had stopped trying to convince him, because convincing was no longer the goal. The boy whispered, "They don't need you in the car anymore." The billionaire frowned. "Then why are they still here?" The boy looked at him and said the line that changed everything. "To make sure you don't run the other way." A sound came from inside the car, a soft electronic click. The billionaire's eyes widened slightly. Inside the tinted window, something moved. Not visible clearly, just a shadow shift, like someone inside had adjusted their position. But the driver was still outside, smiling, standing perfectly still. The billionaire finally whispered, "There's someone else in the car." The boy nodded once and said, "Now you understand why I said don't enter it." The billionaire stepped back again, this time slowly, like sudden movement might trigger something he couldn't see. The driver remained at the car door, still waiting, still smiling. But now the silence between them felt occupied, not empty, occupied. The billionaire stared at his screen, then slowly raised his eyes to the driver. The driver nodded once, as if confirming something, not to him, but to someone else. The billionaire took another step back. Now he was no longer near the car. He was between two choices. Forward meant the car. Backward meant the building. Just then, a soft sound came from the car again. Click. This time louder. The driver finally moved. He moved toward the trunk of the car. Slow, controlled, like the decision had already been made elsewhere. The boy stiffened. "That's new," he whispered. The billionaire narrowed his eyes. "What is he doing?" The boy shook his head slightly. "I don't think he's the one driving this anymore." The driver opened the trunk. Inside was nothing visible at first, just darkness. Then a faint blinking light. The trunk clicked fully open. The blinking light inside pulsed faster. Then, a soft thwip cut through the air. Not loud, not sharp, almost swallowed. The billionaire frowned, and the boy moved instantly. He yanked him sideways just as a small, clean hole punched through the glass behind where the billionaire had been standing. No explosion, no shatter, just a tight fracture spreading outwards like a spider web. The billionaire froze. What? Across the street, a man lowered his hand. Not a gun, something smaller, compact, controlled. No one around them reacted. A car drove past. Someone laughed in the distance. A man nearby paused for half a second, then kept walking. The billionaire's instinct screamed to run, but he didn't know which direction was still safe. He took a step as if to leave, then stopped, because every direction suddenly felt chosen for him. The driver closed the trunk, slowly, gently, like he was finishing a conversation. For the first time, his smile dropped slightly, not completely, just enough to reveal intent beneath it. The billionaire stepped back again. The boy whispered, "He's switching roles." A sudden sound came from the billionaire's building, a distant alarm, not loud, but precise, controlled, like it was meant to be heard only by him. He looked up instantly. More lights were blinking now. Different floors, different patterns. The boy tightened his grip. "They've started phase 2, he said. Isolation. The billionaire tried his phone again. No signal, no network, just a blank screen. He looked around. The street was still normal. Cars were passing and people were still walking. But none of them were reacting to the scene. None of them were looking at him. The billionaire's voice lowered. "Why is nobody seeing what is happening?" The boy answered immediately. "Because they don't know what to look for. To them, everything probably looks normal." The driver stepped away from the trunk and finally spoke differently. Not louder, not angrier, just final. "Sir," he said, "you are delaying a scheduled movement. Your replacement arrives in 12 minutes. The billionaire went still. The boy stepped slightly in front of him, not fully shielding him, just enough. The driver tilted his head again, and for the first time, his smile disappeared completely. "You are not the intended variable anymore," he said. The billionaire finally spoke. "Then what am I?" A pause. The street seemed to hold its breath. The driver answered, "A disruption." And in that same moment, the lights in the billionaire's building all went off at once. Darkness swallowed the glass tower behind them. It was not gradual, it was instant. Like power had been erased, not lost. The billionaire turned slowly. Every floor, every office, gone. His empire, offline. "Backup will kick in," the boy said. "This is just the handover." The boy exhaled tiredly. "They've started the replacement," he announced. The billionaire's voice dropped. Replacement of what? The boy didn't look at him this time. He was watching the building. Of you. A light flickered back on. Top floor, the billionaire's office. The curtains shifted slightly, and for a brief second, a figure stepped into view. Same height, same posture, same silhouette. Watching them. The billionaire's chest tightened. "That's not possible," he whispered. The boy finally looked up at him and said the line that reframes the entire story. "They didn't need to kidnap you. They just need the world to believe you were never here." "Your accounts, your records, your face," the boy said. "They're already rewriting it. By the time anyone checks, their version is the only one that exists." The driver stepped aside, not toward the car, but away from it, like his role was complete. The back door of the sedan slowly opened itself. Inside, darkness, waiting.
The boy tightened his grip one last time. "Now you choose," he said. "Disappear their way." He drew a thick breath. "Or disappear your own." The billionaire stared at the car, then at the building, then at the version of himself watching from above. And for the first time in his life, he realized he was doomed.